I've got a red prom dress going on here. It's floor length, fitted through the hips, and then a nice swirl of hem that's too long, and we'll get to that. But first, the top. The top needs to be taken in at the sides. We have pretty princess seams here and a nice crisscross strap back. Pretty button detail by the invisible zipper. Quite the slant here, right where I want to take it in at the side seam. How am I going to handle that, especially since there's strap insertion here? To make it a little more complicated, I'll show you how. First, I'm going to go ahead and mark this strap right at its insertion point so that when it comes apart, while we're dealing with it, I know right where to put it back. Front and back. Luckily, this is one of those alterations friendly prom dresses that I like to run into. It's got the sheer overlay and then 2 underskirts. And when I put my hand in between the 2 underskirts, I can find my way all the way to the top to the underarm in question, which is this one, where I marked the strap. Why is that great? Because essentially this is just one dress inside of another. All I have to do is take it apart here, take in the seam, and then put it all back together again. What that means is either taking the seam ripper from the front here and releasing about 2 inches on either side of the side seam, or turning it wrong side out and doing it from the inside. So a ripping I go, taking note that actually I'm going to be taking the side seams in 1 inch total. That means 1/2 inch on each side of the side seam. I'm going to take out a very narrow wedge or pie piece by sewing narrowly down and finishing at 8 inches at the point. Because I'm experienced, I'm going to go in from the front or the top of the seam. If this is not the way you want to go, then turn it inside out like I showed you earlier. But I like it when I can just get started like this. And keep going. And see how that strap just fell right out? That's why we're glad we've already marked its insertion point right here. Rip the hang strap off too. Now see, when I peel back the fabric, these are the 2 seams that I'll be taking in. Here's this one, and here's the other seam. Yes, we'll have to detach this a little ways too. So now I'm going to turn it wrong side out and deal with that. I like how they sewed this extra fabric right into the seam on one side. Why they didn't on the other side, I don't know. When I go back to do it, I'll simply lay it up against the new seam instead of overlapping, because that's just seems silly to me to do it that way. We'll see what happens. Now I'm going to mark a pin line of that wedge I'm going to take out. If it's easier for you, you can always draw a chalk line from pin to pin all the way down to your 0 point, which for me is the 8-inch point. And since you guys know how to sew, I'm not going to actually show you the sewing machine part. I will return after each step to show you how the sewing turned out. See, turned out real well. Here's the original stitching line, here's the new stitching line. Disappears into the original seam right at the 8-inch mark. Nice curve. Now all we have to do is accomplish the same thing over on the lining seam. How are we going to do that? Well, if you're good at eyeballing what to do, measure in and down and pin. Otherwise, you copy like this. Hold the finished seam up to the unfinished seam. Pin them together on the new seam line and double pin, like so. Now you're going to mark with the chalk in between those two pin stabs. But first I'm going to pin the rest of the way down. Or you can opt to peel back the layer if you want to start at the top and mark this way. Either way, now release those pins. And get sewing one way or the other. And there they are then, both seams are finished on the dress and the lining. Eventually it'll all come back together here. You can see here's the bra insert. Like so. And we'll get to that, but not until she's back for fitting to make sure that vertically everything's good. Including I will not trim until that time either. Looking at the dress from right side out again, we notice this is the nice seam stitchery that we've just done vertically, and we'll get back to horizontally here, or I should say the steep curve, which was now going to be steeper than it originally was. See, these seams don't match anymore like they used to. That means this part will have to be tucked in more majorly than it was originally. But that can be accomplished very nicely. You'll see when we come to that part. But just be aware, when the dress was already at a very steep slant, when you take it in, it's going to be even steeper. But we'll get there. Okay, so at the fitting, everything fits spot on vertically. It is time now to put this underarm back together. But first, before we forget, remember that crisscross strap needs to get in there too. So, after I turn this wrong side out and trim the excess of the seam that we took in that we found out is just fine the way it is, I will baste this strap right on there, taking care that I don't twist it in the process. So there, from the right side, you can see how I carefully crossed those straps and then basted each one right on the seam line of the lining part of the dress. That way, when I go inside out now, I'm all nicely set up with the strap just ready and waiting. And now with the lining side of the dress facing me, this is just a preference. I'm going to pin a line now from here to here where we're gapping and get that closed up. Remember, that is going to be a rather steep new stitch line. Okay, we accomplished this underarm seam. Here are the starting threads, here are the ending threads, and we just made our way along here. Make sure your strap is poking out. The first time I went to do this, I have to admit, it wasn't poking out and I had to redo it. Here it is from this side, perhaps a little more clearly seen. Started right about there, went on through here, ended up here. So how does that translate to the right side out? Let's see. Here it is then. Right here is the area we just did. You can tell by the discontinuation of this understitching that you don't see through here, which you can opt to do if you can get in there in this tight quarters and do it. I'm not going to. But see how nicely the strap then comes out and crosses over to the other side. See how smoothly the nice new steeply curved line has turned out. Beautiful. Okay, guess what? I forgot about something, and that is the hanger ribbon, which was originally sticking right out with the strap. And I didn't like that because it was so getting in the way. There's so much of it. And yet they are handy. I really believe in hang ribbons. So I think what I'm going to do instead is get it to inserting out of the seam a little ways down here, right about here. It will still support nicely when used for hanging with the strap. I simply ripped out the side seam a little bit in the lining, threaded that ribbon down in, let it extend out a little bit, and zipped across it. Now I want to match it up with the other seam, the front seam. I want to match them up very evenly, and then I'm going to run a little bit of stitching across here, which will really secure this hang ribbon. You'll see in a minute. Now that those two seams are stitched together, let's see what we've got. Good, that hang ribbon is in there nice and securely and down far enough ways that it's out of the way of the strap. We're finished with the bodice. Good job. Now that the bodice is all set, it's time to tackle the hem. The hem has 3 layers. This is kind of a mesh overlayer. It's not true chiffon and it's not tulle. It's kind of a stretchy affair. I am going to use my rolled hem attachment on all 3 layers. I'll show you how that works. Now I have some advice. And that advice is this: always cut conservatively. When you have your subject available in front of you and it looks like, oh, let's say 6 inches needs to come off, only cut 3 or 4 and have your person back and reevaluate, reconfigure how much really is left to do. Why? Because when a garment is way too long, that's a lot of weight dragging and pulling on the dress. If you cut off the entire 6 inches, you might be surprised how much the material springs back up and then ends up being a little shorter than you had hoped. Okay? At the machine, the first thing you want to do is reinforce all the seams that you just cut through. Just a little ways. Start up a little ways, go down, reinforce it so that it doesn't pull apart while you're roll hemming with the attachment that I'm going to show you next. Now, if you don't want to invest in a rolled hem attachment like this, you can just use your regular foot. That is fine. I'll tell you though, I find it to be very challenging, especially on a knit, to roll it once, roll it twice, and then go neatly from here. It just to me is an arduous job. So you can do that. I'm going to show you how magical I feel the rolled hem attachment is. To attach it, simply do this. This is the way it'll be on a lot of machines. and you're set. Start with an underlayer and not the top most important layer. Yes, you will have to begin even with the rolled hem attachment by rolling by hand. I recommend starting at a side seam, needle down, use a universal needle, one that will handle knits, and it needs to be kind of a small needle. Let's begin. Go forward like so, a little back stitching, forward again, and when you get past the side seam, press your foot up, and now just allow that hem to lip into the curlicue here. The curlicue feed, which can be a little challenging to get that started, but I got it. And this is why you start on the underskirt first, so you get the lay of the land, the feel of how the fabric's going to behave. And I'll tell you right now, this knit fabric is cantankerous. I fold ahead of the foot, and it is feeding in very thinly, which is what we want. In order to achieve that, though, I am folding ahead thickly. What I mean by that is like 3/8 inch and then 3/8 inch again, in order for it to feed in correctly. Now, not all fabric is cantankerous like this, but I owed it to you to show you how it would end up using the rolled hem attachment on this knit. Later we'll press this a little more flat. Here's how I'm making out on the mesh, the top layer, very nicely. As I go to do it, I'm not needing to roll this hem as thickly as the underskirt layers, right about like so. As you approach a seam, allow your presser foot edge to butt up against the seam. Presser foot is still down. Then take it up. Needle is definitely down. And scrooge it out of the curlicue feed. Get set up for getting across there, and just go across there normally. Then just resume on the other side of that seam as you were. Get it in the feed and keep going.